British Rail, the later years, and the introduction of the Type 5 diesels. In this video we'll take a look at the introduction of the Type 5 diesel locomotives that occurred from the late 70s to 80s. This was also the time I started my railway career, so it's of personal interest to me. I have always regarded the Type 5s as very modern locomotives, and certainly I have nothing later in my collection. So come with me and my models whilst we look into this interesting and hopeful time of British rail history. For now, some of these very modern locomotives are themselves consigned to memory. By the mid-70s, BR had a problem to solve. Due to hikes in oil prices, coal was becoming the preferred fuel of industry and of power generation, and BR had to find ways to move it in vast quantities. Most of its current fleet of locomotives were of mixed traction design. Many were rather old and nearing retirement. While it would soldier on for many more years and eventually end up being exported to Hungary, 47375, named Tinsley Traction Depot, is a good example of the older BR fleet. She had come to traffic in 1965, the same time as I was born, and is seen here modelled by Lima in this attractive named livery. The Class 47s were built between 1962 and 67. As built, they were rated for 95 miles an hour running, and had a tractive effort of 60,000 pounds. Engines were Sulzer 12 LDA 28C, and they were rated as 2,580 horsepower machines. Probably the most numerous and successful class of diesel locomotives, and really nice to drive. Let's watch 47375 for a while and hear some real sounds of Class 47s in the background. We will then compare her specifications with later locomotives to follow in this video. Near the end of 1974, BR invited tenders to build a new Coco Type 5 diesel locomotive, and eventually awarded this contract to Brush for 60 such locomotives, 30 of which would be built in Romania, the remaining 30 at BREL Doncaster. Class 56001 arrived in England in 1976. Here we see mainline class 56075, named West Yorkshire Enterprise, hauling a load of MGR hoppers, which was the mainstay of the class's initial work. Also running is 56113 with yet another MGR train. It always surprises me that these locomotives were ordered way back in 1974. The class found many other duties coming its way, with some stone trains among them. The British Rail Engineering Limited locomotives came on stream in early 1976 and 77. Before the final locomotive was delivered, 105 such locomotives had been ordered. I can recall the Class 56 called ARC train blasting through my local station of Havant late in the evenings. Let's listen to a recording I made back then. You will hear the train coming for many miles. The train ran from Westbury to Ardingly. Class 56 boasted the following specifications, and on screen I put up the Class 47 comparative specs. Built 1976 to 84. Maximum speed 80. Tractive effort 61,800 pounds. Engines Ruston Paxman 16 RK3CT with 3,250 horses at their disposal. In January 1983, construction of the Class 56s swapped to crew. This was necessary as Doncaster had started building the new Class 58s. Withdrawal of the Class 56s started in the early 90s, with less than half the original build being in existence by January 2000. The later Class 66s had a devastating impact. So we've already mentioned the Class 58. BR had set about building a new low-cost modular freight locomotive, which it hoped would take it into the export market as well as serving its domestic needs. The criteria was economy in design, minimum maintenance and export potential. Here is 58001, made by Hornby, many years ago now. So from September 1979, construction started of the Class 58. Delivery of the first one was on the 9th of December 1982. It would however be 1983 before 58001 was in traffic. The delivery of the class was very protracted due to testing and delivery of components, so it was not until early 1987 the class was fully in service. They had all been allocated to Totten Depot. Performance was very good, but they did suffer from poor adhesion. Class 58 specifications were as follows, and again I'll put up the Class 47 specs for comparison. Built 1983 to 1987. Maximum speed 80 miles an hour. Tractive effort 61,800 pounds. Engine Ruston Paxman 12 RK3 ACT. And with 3,300 horses, the same as the Daltic, at its disposal. BR's plans for export never materialised. In 1999, a number of the locomotives were placed in long-term store and began providing spares for those remaining in traffic. Full withdrawal started in the year 2002. 32 were hired abroad, 4 to the Netherlands, 8 to Spain and 20 to France. So now we come to a really groundbreaking locomotive. Foster Yeoman and the British Rail Board finally reached agreement for privately operated locomotives on the British Rail network. Foster Yeoman had been dissatisfied with the poor availability figures of the BR fleet locomotives. A 95% availability figure was required, and no British builder could offer this. Foster Yeoman was already happy with a General Motors shunting locomotive. And so, in 1985, a contract to design and build 4 new locomotives was awarded to General Motors in Illinois, USA. The Class 59 was born. Here is a Hornby Railroad model Class 59 that arrived with me this year. Shipment of the locomotives was made in 1986 into Southampton docks, and 3 days later the locomotives were hauled to Muirhead Quarry for commissioning. After a spell at Derby Technical Centre, the locomotives proved such a success that a 5th locomotive was ordered in June 1989. Other private freight operators sat up and took note of the success of the Foster Yeoman machines. ARC and National Power also placed orders. The performance of the Class 59 has been superb, with virtually no online failures being recorded. Class 59 specifications are as follows. Built 1986 to 95. Maximum speed 60 miles per hour, but some of the class are capable of 75. Tractive effort 122,000 pounds. Engine EMD 1664.5E3C, and again 3,300 horses of power. Finally, we come to BR's last Type 5 design. BR had become painfully aware of the success of the Class 59 and how far behind it had been left. Its trainload divisions wanted to invest in a new traction type, and with this in mind, funding was made available for BR's last Type 5 diesel freight locomotive. The eventual winner of the bidding process was again Brush, and the contract was placed on May the 17th, 1988. Assembly was carried out at Loughborough. 60001, named Steadfast, was handed over to BR on the 30th of June 1989. During the early deliveries, many serious problems were identified, mainly with the computer software but also bogie structure. At one time the build was almost cancelled. Here we see Lima Class 60039, named Glastonbury Tor, and 003, named Sir Christopher Wren, at work. The 60s displaced many older classes of locomotives. During the privatisation process, all Class 60s became the property of EWS. By 2007, only 60% of the fleet remained. However, some still have active lives even now in 2018. Class 60 specification is built 1989 to 92, maximum speed just 62 miles per hour, tractive effort 106,500 pounds, engine Mearleys 8MB 275T and 3,100 horses of power. So there you have it, another fascinating bit of our railway history. I hope you enjoyed that. Stay tuned for more videos soon, and why not subscribe and click the little bell icon at the same time to be notified as soon as I upload. So what was that amazing piece of iconic railway music you heard at the start of this video? Well, it was from Telerail's Rail Freight Today series, an absolutely fantastic in-depth study of the freight scene. You can still pick up copies, I'm sure, and many thanks to Telerail for the permission to use it in this video.